Day one of Icelandic learning. Today, I'd driven for 7 hours at work, and I decided to take my learning to the laundromat. So here I am, very excited to do laundry after 7 hours of driving. I had flipped through my handy-dandy Icelandic notebook, and I found this verb that I had written down some months ago, að velja, which means to choose. I was so rusty that it took me a minute to remember what that verb meant. But eventually I did, and I double-checked it, and I just decided to do a basic review. I decided to write down the verb and its many declensions. So with declensions, I'm referring to how the verb ends. It'll differ depending upon which pronoun it's being used with in a sentence, as well as the tense. And so very quickly, I realized that I had forgotten my headphones. I usually listen to podcasts or something whenever I do laundry. And so instead of listening to Scott Sharp, aka True Crime Loser, I decided to do more writing. And so here I am, very excited to do more writing for 30 minutes. Once again, flipping through the notebook, I found a page where I had written down the alphabet in Icelandic and decided, hey, I'm very rusty. Why not go over the basics? So looking at it, I realized that it might be easier, instead of remembering the exact order of the letters for the Icelandic alphabet, how about I think about the English alphabet and just think about which letters are excluded. And if I can remember correctly, it's C, Q, W, and Z. John from the future, hey, I wanted to clarify that this approach to learning the Icelandic alphabet is only going to work if you also know what letters are added. I should make it clear that these days of learning Icelandic come after a 6-month hiatus for me. And leading up to that hiatus, I had studied casually for about 2.5 years. So I decided to cover the alphabet and test out my theory. And I did all right. It took me a minute. More than a minute, actually. In fact, I tried to time myself to see if I could write it out in a minute or less, and I failed miserably. But I forgave myself and decided to write it out as I had just done before, and eventually I got there. So yeah, that was day one. Final thoughts, I think what I'm going to do is go back to where it all started for me and review Hrafna's video on Icelandic, her intro to Icelandic. And so I'll do that just to review the alphabet, because your boy needs a refresher. So this has been Sleepy John and the conclusion of day one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so day two, I decided to start my day with a couple of things that I like to do on my days off. They don't take a lot of time, and they allow me to feel productive. And also, if I decide to do nothing else for the day, I feel good and centered. So today on the piano, I just decided to jump in, and instead of doing my usual scales and intro to sight reading for absolute beginners, I decided to try and learn the intro to a song by Prince. I got about halfway through the intro, and then I remembered that I'm not very good at piano, so I just decided to start dancing. With the Icelandic, I decided to pick up where I had left off yesterday. So I'd opened up Hrafna's video, and I decided to investigate the phonetic spellings of the alphabet. It doesn't suffice to just know what the letters look like, have to also kind of know what they sound like. So moving on, I decided to review this video, which I'm sort of falling down attempting to explain it here.
Sumarið 2017 kortlagði Náttúrustofa Suðausturlands eyju í Jökulsárlóni sem kölluð er Skúmey og skráði allt lífríki þar.
So I'm just going to read from guide-to-Iceland.is. It says, as a glacier lagoon, Jökulsárlón is a lake that is filled with meltwater from an outlet glacier. In this case, it is Breiðamerkurjökull, a tongue of Europe's largest ice cap, Vatnajökull. So that glacial tongue that it talked about, Skume actually emerged from the glacier in that the ice melted and broke away and slowly revealed this island. And the team of scientists who had visited it were there to survey the life that was on the island. So about 1.5 years ago, I actually wrapped up analyzing each and every word in the video. And it was maybe the first thing that I took on that really sort of forcefully elevated my understanding of the language and expanded my vocabulary. I can't say that I understand every word or every idiom, but it was a hefty task and I think it was beneficial. And then lastly for today, I decided to do some shadowing. Shadowing is a technique that I had initially learned from a YouTuber who goes by Matt vs. Japan. And all you do is you can set up your headphones to monitor your own voice so you can hear yourself whilst still wearing the phones. But what you do is you pull up some media in your target language and hopefully, something you can understand. In that way, after every sentence that they speak, you repeat the sentence. And so I just sort of stumbled through doing that today. I need to find some new material for me to analyze. But we'll get to that. I actually have a process. Once I find a video, usually from like the University of Iceland or the University of Akureyri, what I'll do is just like with the Skume video, I'll go in actually an Excel sheet and I'll figure out little identifiers for the words. All in all, day 2 was more media focused, whereas day 1 was more writing focused. So let's move on to day 3. Okay, so day 3 of learning this wonderful language. I had decided late last night that I'm just going to write a short journal entry. And so that's what I did today. So I'll do my best to speak the language for you. And let's have a ball and a biscuit. All right, so it goes as such. Ég káttur að byggja kvikmynd fyrir ykkur. Í dag var ég á garðnum. Ég gekk þangað og hugsaði ég að vinna á kvikmyndinu heima. And so this has been 3 days of Icelandic studies. Thank you for tagging along.